Good day. My name is Krishna. Um, I'm a manager of strategic asset management at Horsham Rural City Council. This afternoon, I'm going to talk about the steps and process for development of long-term capital works plan. I have developed a detailed procedure document. This presentation is the key summary of that document, which is available in the internet. Here are key 5 points of my presentation: project project scope and costing, reference to strategies and plan, project charter submission, developing and updating long-term capex plan, iteration of long-term capex plan document and approval. Uh, the first key aspect is to know what is to be done. It is important to determine clear deliverables. It is equally important to identify out of scope activities, that is, what is not included. This helps to avoid scope creeping. For example, let's say construction of a new netball court at location A is a project. The in-scope activities could be earthworks, driveways, fencing, drainage, etc. And suppose it is to be asphalt surface without acrylic painting, then that is the out of scope. Having clear scope is the key, and it needs a lot of thinking and iteration. Once you have clear scope, then you can start developing costs to do the job. You are always welcome to take help of asset team or project office to get a better costing. Write to them timely. Usually about 2 months time. If you give for a project with a scope, this asset team and the project office should be able to give you a good costing. Um, so there are many occasions we can do the costing based on the first principle. Because based on the computation of the how much material is required, and then machineries, and then the other contracts. While maintenance and operations cost post delivery of the project is important, they won't be considered as a cost of the project, but they are very important for the um, during the project appraisal phase. Any items that we put as a project must have connection with existing strategies and plans. If you cannot refer the project to various actions from current strategies and plans, then the best approach is to develop those missing strategies. Usually, you can put project charter for initiatives for such works. I'll discuss more about project charter later. For example, if you'd like to put a new shared path from point A to point B, then it must be suggested from the cycleway plan. Our open space strategy has prescribed distances between nearest public toilets. So if you would like to put a project charter for a new public toilet, then it must be in sync with our open space strategy and the service level it has governed. Sometimes the plan or strategies are yet to be finalized, but if you feel there is a high chance about a particular recommendation to be part of that planned yet to be completed, then you may still put a charter for future years project. For example, we are in the process of developing aerodrome master plan. And then there is a high chance that the master plan will recommend to extend the runway. So you may put a charter referring to master plan being finalized. Here are some example strategies and plans. For example, open space strategy, urban transport plan, bicycle plan, Horsham North Action Plan, and there are many more. Project charter. We call it a project charter. It is a form. Basically, it is nothing more than just a form that we use to collect information about the project. Please speak to project office if you have any questions about how to fill the project charter. The key requirements are what is the scope of work, which strategies or plans it is aligned to, and also what is the cost of the project, excluding, of course, the operations and maintenance cost, and funding source, how the project will be funded, and various project milestones, when the project is to be completed or when the design will be completed, and those information. If you have this information, you can start going to the project charter and charter link and start filling the information. Once you submit the project charter, it will go to the long-term capex plan database. Oh well, on some sort of database, not directly, but there is a steps behind that as well. There is signing process. We then apply 5-point prioritization tool to prioritize each project and give a score. Let me explain a bit more about this criteria. Benefit cost ratio. Generally, it applies to large projects. It has a 30% weightage. If it is a ratio of the life cycle cost of the project to the life cycle benefit it creates. It should include all tangible and intangible benefits and costs. Usually, projects over $1 million, that's just a rule of thumb, we would like to have a benefit cost ratio computed. If there is no benefit cost ratio accounted, then we'll assume that the benefit cost ratio is 1 in that prioritization metrics. As mentioned before, alignment with the current strategy and plan is crucial, and we have high score if the project perfectly aligns um, to the strategies, and less score if not. If higher competitive grant contribution, about the funding source is from the competitive grant and the percentage is higher, then it will have a higher score, of course. And demand factor. After the project is completed, if there is a likely that the asset will be well utilized, then it is a demand factor. I mean, based on the demand factor, it will have a high score. And if there is a detailed design and specification ready and project is kind of shovel ready, it will have a high score. More detail about how this metric should be applied is in the procedure document as an appendix. So all information submitted through the project charter will be collected onto a central register, which is long-term capital works plan database. It is basically project charter's information populated in tabular form, which can be analyzed further. We have annual cycle of the due dates for the project's charter submission for capital type of project, which is 15th of September. Mind you that for the initiative type of project, the due date is generally about 2 months later than the capital works program. Any project charter submitted after 15th of September will be included on the 25-26 long-term capex plan update, not on the 24-25 long-term capex plan update. The long-term capex plan database will have one column, the prioritization score. This will be the key to determine which year the project will be funded. Currently, the long-term capex plan is a spreadsheet, but gradually it will be converted onto the database so that there will be much better track records of the information. Here are some um, key attributes of the long-term capex plan database. Everyone within the organization will have the at least read-only access to the database. Everyone, it will be located on this drive, S drive, organized share, reporting, LTFE, with subfolder for the specific year. LTCB gets updated annually, and it will make a 10 years program. Anything that is not certain will be listed as unallocated item. Year one of the 10-year capital works program becomes the capital works program for the next year, capital works budget for next year. Um, Asset working group. Let me spend a bit of time about what is asset working group. It is a It is a body within a Horsham Rural City Council. It comprises of several stakeholders, representing from finance, asset, operations, project office, governance, and executives. It is chaired by our director of infrastructure. All key capital works and asset-related decisions are made by this group, not the studies asset manager. This group meets quarterly, and the minutes from the meetings will be an agenda will be available to the all staff. It will take about 1 month to transfer the data from from the project charter to a long-term capex plan and give a prioritization score, and there are various other things to be done. Um, so there will be several iterations about costs and scope, um, and from 15th of September to 15th of November. Um, uh, Usually project office and strategy asset manager work on this database heavily. Um, then the information will be discussed with the finance manager, uh, and we look from the affordability perspective, and a long-term capital works plan that is deemed to be affordable and reasonable will be presented to asset working group around mid-November. About mid-November. Uh, and the long-term capex plan will be updated based on the feedback from the long-term capex plan from the asset working group, and then it will be presented to EMT during late November. And there will be a half-day session to discuss and go through each project items. Followed by the feedback from the EMT, long-term capex plan will be updated and then presented to asset working group again. That is mostly for as information. Um, and uh, then it will be uh, updated. We will update the long-term caption with from the followed by the feedback from the EMT. Then it will be for the final time. It will be presented in during late December and it will be ready to go to a council briefing. Um, so if there is a robust capital works plan, community can have clearer picture of what Horsham may look like in next 5 years or 10 years. So it is quite an important piece of work. Of course, it is very important that these items should come from the up, properly thought strategies and master plans. So therefore, firstly, it is very important to clear if there is a gap in the strategies and the plans. So that has to be funded through the initiative projects. So once you have this a very good long-term capex plan, this helps to have a clearer sense of purpose to the internet staff, because they can see what is long-term goal behind every little projects they do. Um, Overall, it has a potential to improve harmony between internal staff and community because community can see also, or if you collate 10 years project together, you can see a tangible amount of work going to be happening in next 10-year cycle. So therefore, please give priority in putting your projects into the project charter timely, and this little work has a game-changing potential to make Horsham a vibrant community with a better relationship between the internet staff and the community. As a result, um, Horsham can be also a choice of employees. So please take your time to fill the project charter. Um, Thank you very much.